All right, in 3, 2, 1. What is up, everybody? Keith Jamison. I go by Gator Guy 231 across the DFS industry, and we are here for another DFS NASCAR showing. It's Tuesday night. We have another race on Wednesday. This stuff's getting crazy. Here with Tim, aka TK Nation, and Andrew goes by Mega Ruler across the DFS industry. Guys, how y'all doing?
Pretty good. Tuesday
bummed
night.
out. Bummed that the Xfinity race didn't go today, but hopefully we'll have
but
racing
now you
tomorrow.
get it on Thursday. You get to do all your research on Tuesday, and now when Thursday comes, you don't even have to sweat out your lineups. They're still locked.
Oh, DK has 10% of my bankroll ransom now.
Well, hey, message them and see if there's another deposit bonus for you.
Oh, well, we can try that.
But anyways, guys, I thought Sunday, I'm a new NASCAR guy, right? And that was fun as heck. And man, you guys destroyed the picks. I looked down, and the only guy that didn't do well was the person that both of you all said I would love.
Yeah. Mega, you nailed it.
No one wants to take the blame. What was up with Boucher? What's up with our Mr. Consistency?
Yeah, Mega called that one. That was Mr. Boring pick, and he certainly did. It
was really boring. He wasn't getting many points.
Oh, he had some bad luck. So didn't Jimmy Johnson run into him?
Yeah, on the Jimmy wreck.
Okay, I'll give him a little more credit. I just thought he was trying to go slow, and I'm like, I don't really like this guy.
Jimmy was going a little too aggressive into that first phase, to try to win the points, and he could have let up a little bit. He had enough lead, and he just kind of didn't maneuver around him correctly, and they hit. And
right, totally unavoidable. Shame
on Jimmy. So I did want to touch on this. We briefly said this before we went on. So I thought one of the things that we really got right at FSI, we didn't have Keselowski in any of the cash or GPP cores. I looked down in my contest. We were all over Harvick, and saw Keselowski pushing 60% in cash. Andrew, you had a pretty good observation. You want to talk about that real quick?
Well, it's when the people found out that he had a choice of which lane to pick, high or low. We initially thought that he would be on the pole, would be on the inside, and then you'd have Alex Bowman be on the outside, and Bowman would be in the preferred groove, and he'd just take off and he'd lead, and nobody'd really try to challenge him because they were all trying to get a feel just coming off the trucks and not racing in a long time. But it happened the opposite way. Brad got to pick the wall, and I think people, when they saw that, thought that he was going to lead probably till the first competition caution and just rank up all those points there.
Mm-hmm.
And he was kind of leading for a bit, but then just really faded, right, Tim?
Well, what happens when you take the pole position, if you don't dominate at least half the race and you lose 9-10 positions, or you even get bumped back into the 15s, 20s, that place differential, that negative place differential can get really harmful on your point total. So yeah, he led 80 laps, but he lost 10 positions in his place differential. So it took away just as much as it gained throughout the race when it came down to the end.
Yeah, and I remember that was a big reason you both were high on Harvick, was the chances that he was going to have the positive point differential. So before we jump into picks, Tim, I know you wanted to kick us off with this, but what did we learn? We're the same track again, guys. So we didn't go anywhere. So what did we learn?
Well, we learned that Harvick obviously has the dominant car. I mean, there's no question about it. I heard from what's his name, Childress. His crew chief has a pretty active Twitter handle, and he said he's not touching a thing on the car. It's unloading just as it was last Sunday, as it's going to be Wednesday night. Doesn't matter about the track temperature, the time frame, nothing. He's not touching a spring or nothing. So we know he's going to have a dominant car, and he's starting 20th. I liked Hendricks. Hendricks looked really fast to start the race. I mean, we had the top 4 in the first 20 laps. I don't know if they were burning tires early or what, but they were flying to start the race. So Hendrick was fast. Kyle Busch, he started from the rear after 2 failed tech inspections. So he looked like he could move up pretty fast, even in the dirty air throughout the field. As Mega alluded to last week, pit stall selection was just as important as we had thought, and it was pretty critical when it came to making gains in the top 10 to start on the restarts, and Clean Air dominated that race. Everything that had to do with being in the front of the pack was being as fast as you possibly could. So big thing for us this week is get a hold of them drivers that's going to get that clean air, that's going to be able to move out throughout the pack as well as up front. So a lot of things we learned, a lot of things we're going to use to edge ourselves this week.
And Andrew, any other takeaways that you had?
Well, we learned about pit strategy, and that's one of the things I think hurt Keselowski. He's still getting used to a new crew chief this year. And Harvick, as we said, was like one of the fastest pit crews, and they delivered. They got him back out there, and even when he like lost a little bit of position on the track in the pits, he made it up. So that's something. I think it is a bit concerning too that you know, Joe Gibbs Racing again with Kyle Busch had issues. He had to go to the back. Eric Jones had bad lug nuts. His crew chief is suspended for this race. So the JGR cars, just kind of Hamlin and Jones and Busch, just all of them kind of really worry me. Like, you know, do they have these things set up correctly within the rules, or are they going to end up in the back on Wednesday night right before we find out an hour before lock. So.
What were you saying, Tim?
So we're both screwing up thinking that this race is Sunday.
I mean, it's crazy, but you know what? We'll take the DFS action. It's been so long since we've had it. We'll take it fast and furious. So let's go straight into the picks. Andrew, I'm going to toss it to you. Give us kind of an idea of the top of the cash pool.
Well, if you look at the dominators, Harvick's going to be back up there again. Alex Bowman had a good race. Keselowski, so you're going to see some of the same nine. Kyle Busch, I mean, he's starting much better this time than last time. But the one that I really like, that really impressed me, and is going to kind of eat my words here because it is a Joe Gibbs Racing person, is Mark Truex at the end of the race had like one of the fastest cars. Now, he was far behind. He couldn't catch back up. But I think that overall, like, when he has this full race, hopefully with the weather and everything, if it stays green longer, which it should, because these guys have like raced at this track recently. They've kind of have their bearings now. I don't see like where we had 10 or 11 cautions. Hopefully don't have that as much. I think he's able to gain ground and really do well in this race.
TK, anybody else kind of stick out to you in the cash pool?
Yeah, there's a lot of.
Go ahead, Megan.
No, take it.
I was going to say, you know, Harvick is, he's the second highest salary on the slate, but he's got 7 races in the total races that they've raced this year, 6 top 10s in those 7 races. So he's obviously they've got something figured out. And then 159 laps led last Sunday, and 77 of them were the fastest laps on the track. So it's going to be hard to ignore him starting in the 20th position and the statistics he pumped out last Sunday, along with the pedigree that his team has this year. I mean, I think a lot of people are going to resort right back to Kevin Harvick, even though he is the second highest salary on the slate. Safety, that's what they're going to go for.
He did us well, so I have no problem going right back to him. So let's kind of think about, obviously, if we want to, you know, build around Harvick. Any values stick out for you? I'll kick it to you, Andrew.
There's a lot of mid-range guys I like. I like Kurt Busch again. Starting 18th, I see him up in the top 10. There's some good place differential there. Ran a clean race. Jimmy Johnson was leading the race until he ran into Busher, our friend there. So what ended up happening is he's going to start way in the back. I mean, DK priced him up. He's 9,100, but his starting position is 37th. I see him getting into the top 25. So there's a little bit of differential there. Tyler Reddick had a solid race. He should be good. I think he's starting 14th, so I think he can get up to the top 10. So there's some differential there too. And everybody's probably going to play Ricky Stenhouse Jr. because he's starting dead last, and there's nowhere to go up but up. You had at least 3 or 4 cars park themselves last time and didn't even complete the race. So if that happens and he makes it like past them, then he's at least gone 4 or 5 spots.
Yeah. So a little fun here. I was asking as we were preparing. I could not remember his nickname, so I asked Tim. I'm like, so was it like Spin House or Wreck House?
Spinhouse, that is the best nickname I've heard for Recchi ever. That's perfect.
So the key is get a non-NASCAR guy. Tell him there's a guy's a nickname because he crashes, and he's like, "Well, what else could it be?"
Yeah.
So let me ask you this, Tim, as a NASCAR novice. I'm scrolling through the prices, and is a guy like Priest at 5,400 starting on the pole, or Dylan at 5,900? Are they somebody to consider? Like, not knowing a ton about NASCAR, I look down and go, "Oh, the cheap guys are near the front."
Well, much like Keselowski last week, when you start on the pole, you're going to have to dominate at least, a third to a half of the race to be able to get enough laps led at fastest lap points to pay off the moment maybe he doesn't get, a pit stalls or a pit pass through the pits cleanly, and he loses a couple of seconds, and then he drops 10 spots, and then he gets in dirty air, and then he'll fall back from 10th to like 20th because he doesn't have the same car as he does in clean air. So the opportunity for Priest to pay off his salary is high because he's only 5,400 on the pole, and he can lead 50 to 60 laps. But as soon as he drops 10, 15 place differential points, he's going to lose a tremendous amount of points on his value. So it's risky. I think it's more for cash if you want to, just kind of like hope he leads a lot of laps early and then doesn't fall back too far. He kind of stays within that top 15 range. But, Priest could lead 10 laps, get passed by whoever's faster behind him, and then he can drop straight to the back, and that's it. And then Dylan might not lead a lap, and he might do the same exact thing, so he's even more riskier.
Yeah, and I mean I just think it'll be interesting to see the ownership as more and more novices flock into this and see that
again. You more fans than they are plays.
What is up with this? So obviously those aren't your guys down at the bottom. So give me one or two cash value guys, and we'll jump into GPP.
Okay, for cash, I would feel safer with Cole Custard. He's driving the 41 car, which is Stuart Haas. He's got a good manufacturer. He's a good young driver. He dominated the Xfinity Series. I think he's won the Xfinity Championship before, him and Christopher Bell. So them two would be guys that are starting there in like the mid-20s that have the talent, the manufacturer to move themselves from that position to maybe like a 15, 16, gain 9 place differential points. They have more opportunity to go forward with faster laps and place differential points than Priest does with the competition caution and the negative place differential points. I'd much feel safer with Cole Custard or Christopher Bell than I would Priest. Yeah.
Thanks, Cole. Anybody else, Andrew, before we move on to GVP?
I love Corey LaJoie, $4,000. He's starting, I believe, 31st. He could definitely get 5 positions there. His team's called Go Fast Racing without a T. I've never really understood that one. But, he seems like another solid guy that just goes out there and does what he needs to do. He doesn't have a super team or like super hooked up, but he's a good racer, and definitely going from 31 up into the 20s someplace at minimum price. That gets you
5,500 on DK, by the way. I don't know if they updated.
Oh, sorry, I'm looking at FanDuel.
Still,
5,500 is pretty good.
No, that's
let's
cheap.
Let's go ahead and jump into tournaments. So, Tim, you're our tournament guy. So let's talk top end, kind of what you're seeing, maybe picks, strategies, all that good stuff.
I really want to go right back to the well with Eric Jones, but I want to talk about my gut feeling right now. And I have this feeling Joey Logano is going to be the guy nobody talks about that might be the surprise of the week. Keselowski kind of knew how to work the clean air. And as his teammate, I think Joey Logano is going to be able to go from third, to first fast. I think he's going to be able to get to Priest and Dylan quick. I think he's going to get out front. And I noticed here on our pit stall selections, he's got a pit stall selection near the front. So his team is going to be better than, a Priest or, a Dylan, somebody that's got some kind of similar good pit stall selection. So I'm looking at Joey Logano. His car didn't do well in dirty air, and he doesn't have any fast laps or laps led from last race. But I'm got a feeling that with Team Penske, he's going to get some clean air with a better pit stall selection, and his team's going to show up on Wednesday night.
I like it. Anybody else up top? I know you kind of hinted Eric Jones, but any other top guys that maybe come in a little bit lesser owned?
I was thinking Bowman would be less owned, but that doesn't seem like it's going to be the case. I think he's going to be more of a cash play too. He had 48 fastest laps, 41 laps led, so people are going to flock to that, and he's been dominating, actually. Alex Bowman, can't believe I said those words in the same sentence, but he's been dominating this year for the races that they've raced in. I want to talk about Eric Jones. Maybe if you want to take a shot at someone like, it's this range between Truex, Denny Hamlin, Chase Elliott, Kurt Busch. Like there's this range from 13th to 18th, and it's all the drivers that really did well on last Sunday. Like from that flock of cars, there's going to be, the race. I feel like there's going to be the race winner right there from 13 to 18. Somewhere, one of them cars is going to win.
That's because they flipped the top 20.
Yeah, that's the invert, right?
And so, Andrew, who top end are you kind of thinking for maybe tournament or TPP core guys?
Well, I completely agree with TK, because if you look at how it lines up, you'll have Priest on the pole. He'll probably take the outside. Right behind him is going to be Logano in the third position.
Yeah.
Right behind him in the fifth position is his teammate Blaney, and then eighth is Keselowski. So you have the three Penske cars right there. And who's around them? You don't have super aggressive guys. You have William Byron, who can be at times. Mappy Dennevetto isn't that aggressive. Clint Bowyer is like
car too.
Yeah. So there's actually Clint Bowyer's up there. There's Amarola's up there. There actually is a lot of Fords in that pack, but I really think those Penske guys can work together to push Logano out there to lead. So I definitely foresee that happening. Jones concerns me a little bit with losing his pit crew chief, but he's a good driver, so it should be good.
Right.
Awesome. Let's talk about maybe the mid-tier or bottom. Give me a couple flyers.
Well, I know William Byron is starting 34th this week, and he and Jimmy Johnson are going to be able to team up from the back to work their way to the front through with their Hendrick connections. And them two at the end of stage one were really fast. I mean, them guys were cooking until Jimmy snuck up on your boy. Byron was chasing him down. He was literally like a half a second behind him, and then I didn't see him wreck. Like I walked away for 5 seconds. I come back and Byron was spinning down the track, and I was like, wow, he had a really fast car. I was kind of thinking he was like going to be the GPP play of the day, and he kind of took himself out for me. So it kind of led to a lot of good point totals for us. So I'm looking for William Byron to be one of them mid-tier 8K guys to be a staple in both cash and GPPs this week.
Andrew, anybody else kind of stick out to you in that mid to low tier for upside?
I think we've hit on everybody. Busher again could be a play. I mean, people might fade him after last time, but he's starting 32nd. He's got the talent to get up into the top 20.
He does.
Yes.
He does.
So, and he's only 81, so it's not. I wish he was a little bit cheaper, but it's not that bad. But I will tell you three people that probably not take: Smithley, McLeod, and Huff. They only ran like 126 laps or something. So I'm not sure that, they might be there for the paycheck. I don't know if they're going to be. Sorry guys if you're listening, but go out there and prove us wrong.
Don't worry, if they're listening, they have bigger problems.
Oh boy.
Anyhow, on that note, let's go ahead and we're going to get wrapped up. We're going to talk about a couple of our top picks. So first off, Andrew, you get to kick this because I asked for race winner last week, and you killed it with Kevin Harvick. So who you got this week?
I'm really going out on a limb here, but I really liked what I saw. I really like Mark Truex Jr.
All right.
I had a feeling.
I like it. How about you, Tim? And we are going to track this. So Andrew, I don't know. I got to figure out a point system, but nailing race winner is never easy. So we'll figure out some sort of tier. But you're definitely in the lead right now.
Yeah.
Tim, who you got this week?
I'm going with Logano. I'm kind of worried about the weather. We didn't talk on the weather yet. There's like 70 to 80% chance of thunderstorms in the area throughout the entire day, Wednesday. So there's a good chance that this race gets postponed till Thursday night, which is not much of a change, but there's rain in that forecast too for Thursday. So a lot of talk about going on with some of the NASCAR experts that this race could only see half the race. And with that being said, I'm looking for someone like Joey Logano to win. I think, maybe he gets out to, the end of stage 2 and they call it because of rain. So we're kind of unsure how the weather is going to really dictate this race. So I'm going to take my flyer with the guy up top, Joey Logano, starting third.
So let's somewhat pause the picks here. Just I do want to hit on that maybe before we go. But so is there maybe any sort of strategy to that? Like, what would be the shortest the race could end up being to be official?
Officially, in the past it has been half the laps. So, Mega, what was the number of laps for
228?
Okay. Yeah, so they'd have to get to that halfway point in laps, and then
like 115.
Right, and then I heard also today that there's a new rule in place that they have to finish 2 stages of the race in order to call it. So
maybe I guess what I'm thinking is there maybe like maybe a truly GPP type of strategy where you just kind of stack the front half of the field because the guys all back that we mentioned in a big race they may just not have the time.
I think like this week's a little different. You got the free squares in the back, and then you have like all the Fords in the front. So like if you wanted to build a lineup that way, like try to mix both the Fords in the front and the free squares in the back, and hope maybe at the end of stage 2 you have the right mix of point totals. Like I guess
I like it.
That could be a strategy. What do you think about that?
So 125 is where the second stage ends, and here's what could potentially happen is the guys we've just discounted, like Ryan Pierce and Ty Dillon, they fall back, they're still in the top 10. You have the more aggressive guys, they've got smaller teams. They might say, hey, the weather's coming, we've got nothing to lose, let's stay out.
Right.
We're not racing for a championship. I don't know if those two would even make the playoffs. They might be on the cusp of it, but this might be their chance to win a race just by default.
So, like we're saying, that's not maybe a cash strategy. I think cash.
No, absolutely not.
GPP. Yeah.
This race.
But look at guys in the top 10 on like some smaller teams, and maybe build some. If you're building like 10 lineups, maybe sprinkle some of them in. So if this race does end and the leaders all go to pit and stay on their same strategy, but these guys stay out and then they call it, then that's going to be a good strategy.
So the advice from Andrew Berry. Play it the first, second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth. Win all the money. Yeah, I don't even know if it fits, but it probably does.
It might fit.
Let's jump back to the picks. So just to recap, so I have Andrew with Martin Truex Jr. to win, TK, Joey Logano. Do part fantasy points per dollar. Who do you think gets the highest points per dollar? Tim, I'll let you kick off.
I'm going to go – let me get my
timer's on.
I'm going to go – I'll go with Christopher Bell.
Like hearing guys I've never heard of. Sweet.
6,800.
Andrew?
I think I'm going to go with Kurt Busch again.
That's a good one. That's probably the winner.
And then we're going to do your top fade.
Ooh. I'm going to fade Chase Elliott as my top fade.
All right.
I was already feeling that. Yeah.
And Andrew?
Well, I already gave you the 3 I'm fading at the bottom because I don't think they're running the full race, but that probably doesn't count for this.
Yeah, jump out a little bit more. Give me something bolder.
I'd say Keselowski, but I always, in a GPP, always play the 3 Penske guys together. So I think I'd fade on Denny Hamlin. He seems to really have some demons. He's won some and done well, but
hey, that's a big enough name. I accept that answer. Well, anyhow, guys, I wish you luck. I'm hoping for not only for all the subscribers in our free Discord right now, but anybody listening that you guys, these picks are as good as Sunday. Y'all really killed it. So we appreciate that, and appreciate your time. Good luck. Stay dry. And here's to the green screens. Take it easy, guys.
All right. Cheers, guys.
See ya.
Bye.